Today we go behind the scenes to see what some of the capital's most successful companies do differently. This is Making It Big in London. For over 80 years, Odeon Leicester Square has been one of Europe's premier cinemas. Today we take a look at its history and discover what's next for this iconic venue. But first, the people in charge of taking the cinema into the future tell us the influential stories from their past that led them to a career in film.
My earliest memory probably is going with my family to see A View to a Kill at the Odeon Bournemouth. I was a big Duran Duran fan, so it's very exciting for many reasons.
I remember the first film I saw was Disney's Peter Pan, and I can remember at the end wishing it would never end, staying in the cinema as the titles rolled.
I went to watch Saturday Night Fever with my father actually, and I remember it being a really packed auditorium. The film was fantastic, the music surrounds you, and it really has a lasting memory for me.
My name's Tessa Street and I'm the General Manager of the Odeon Lux Leicester Square. Odeon stands for Oscar Deutsch Entertains Our Nation. Oscar Deutsch was our founder and was the inspiration behind the building of this cinema when it opened in 1937. Oscar Deutsch had a vision of creating the best cinema in the world and spent a lot of time working out what that was going to look like, what the design was going to be, which is where the iconic tower on the front of the building comes from. Now we've created an absolute state-of-the-art cinema while keeping a lot of the features that Oscar Deutsch wanted this cinema to show.
My name's Carol Welsh and I'm the UK and Ireland Managing Director for Odeon Cinemas. Over 80 years ago, Oscar Deutsch dreamt this building up and really thought about how to make it the most glamorous evening out that you could have when you came to watch a movie. And I think they achieved exactly that. So what we're trying to do is really think about those glamour days and bring back that luxury.
The Odeon Leicester Square has been the venue for many world premieres. So we've hosted over 700 premieres in total here since the cinema opened in 1937, and therefore there are so many iconic moments where members of the royal family have attended premieres and events here. We've also hosted things like the weigh-in of Muhammad Ali. So many historical moments have taken place at the Odeon Leicester Square. So it's cemented in people's hearts, I think, as a kind of the cornerstone of cinema in the UK.
I think it's really something special when you can come and enjoy a whole evening out and sit in the same auditorium that Hollywood A-listers or royalty has sat. It's the perfect place to be able to watch a movie in the most glamorous location.
My name's Duncan Reynolds, I'm the Group Development and Real Estate Director. Oscar Deutsch worked really hard with his management team to create an amazing cinema experience and something that came to be known as the Cathedral in Hollywood, so it's one of the most famous cinemas in the world. As we were doing the renovation, we uncovered some great stories. So when they were first looking at the architectural design for the cinema, they all decided to have a brainstorming session, but in 1937 that involved jumping in Oscar's Bentley and driving to one of the local parks, and they all sat around in the park having a picnic and deciding how Leicester Square was going to look. Odeon Lux Leicester Square has always been closely associated with James Bond films, and a lot of them have premiered here over the years. The Star Wars premieres and most of the big films over the last 50 years have premiered at this cinema, and we hope that's going to continue long into the future.
It's just really magical. I think obviously the film is a huge part of it, and that spectacle of seeing a film on a big screen which you just can't replicate anywhere else. But it's also that shared experience of being around other people. And I think when you work in the industry, seeing the kind of the joy and happiness that brings to our guests is really amazing, and that kind of rubs off on you, and you walk out at the end of the day knowing that you've kind of made people's lives a little bit better by them coming to the cinema and having a great time.
My name's Julian Stanford and I am Senior Director for Dolby Laboratories. We are responsible for the technology within this fabulous auditorium. Dolby Cinema is the latest leading-edge cinema technology. When guests arrive at the Odeon Leicester Square, they're going to experience something unlike anything they've seen before. Dolby Atmos has speakers all around the auditorium, above their heads, behind them, and they'll be totally immersed in a 3D experience of the sound of the film. And then they will have an image on the screen which is just like real life, as though you're looking through a window at the scene that the creatives have drawn up for you. Wherever you're sitting in the Odeon Leicester Square now, your experience will probably be the best of any cinema in the country.
The renovations that have been happening have been quite significant. They have taken almost a year, but we really took time to think about how we could be true to both the history of this wonderful building, but also create something that was a place where people could come and watch the movies of the 21st, 22nd century. And so we've really mixed the old with the new.
We've increased the legroom, we've made the seats much more comfortable, a complete overhaul of the sound and projection equipment. In terms of some of the unique features, we restored the original Compton organ, which we're really proud of. We created a glass box on the front overlooking Leicester Square, which is now part of the bar. The lift and escalators, which mean that we've now got disabled access to the first level.
We've still got our black marble tower that sort of towers over Leicester Square, and you can see that from Piccadilly Circus. The seats were originally a silver leopard print when they were installed in 1937, so we've kept little hints to those in the carpets and some of the decoration. Filmmakers want to premiere their film at the Odeon Leicester Square because of its history, because of everything it stands for, and now they will not only get the best building on Leicester Square to showcase the film, but they'll also be able to present their film in Dolby Vision, which is the best technology to present that in. So I think going forward, it will continue to be the #1 choice for filmmakers.
Did you know more than 3.8 million pet dogs in the UK are overweight or obese? Pit-Pat, the UK's #1 dog monitor, have taken the recent trend for fitness and wellness trackers and transferred it to our canine friends. On today's episode, we meet Shogun and owners Michael and Christina to find out how Pit-Pat's been improving their lives. But first, it's a trip to the vets for Helen and her dog Raid.
I'm Rory the vet and I work at the neighbourhood vet in East Dulwich. This little guy is Raid, the 11-month-old Border Collie. Pit-Pat is an activity monitor that you attach to your dog's collar or harness. It allows you to track their weight, their exercise levels and a number of other things to make sure that your dog is in best health possible. Now Raid here came into me a little bit on the skinny side, so we used a Pit-Pat, we attached it to his collar, we tracked his exercise, we tracked his weight, and now we've brought him back to tip-top shape.
My name's Helen and I own a Border Collie called Raid. He's now 11 months old. I've had him since he was quite a young puppy. When Rory told me that he thought Raid was underweight, I was a bit concerned because I'd only ever had experience in the past of dogs being overweight, and obviously I worried that it perhaps was my fault for not feeding him enough. So having the Pit-Pat helped me keep a track on his weight to see which way it was going and how much exercise he had done, and possibly if he'd been running free a lot, I knew that I could actually give him more food. It's very easy to use, it's very user-friendly. You just download the app on your phone and you have to put in a few details and then you're ready to go. I think it helps, yes, because obviously sometimes it's difficult to notice if he's just losing a kilo. It's much easier to see it recorded. I think my favourite part is actually seeing how far he runs when you go out. It's actually quite amazing when they're running free, particularly, to see how many miles they actually cover. Having the Pit-Pat and seeing the results has given me confidence to be able to increase his food without worrying about him getting overweight, and also making him a happier dog.
We fell in love with Shogun at first sight, so we were looking around for what sort of dog we wanted. We settled on Shiba Inu for all sorts of reasons that it was right for us, and when we saw the first picture of Shogun, we knew that she was the dog we wanted. I'm Michael and I'm Shogun's dad. The Shiba Inu breed was really important to us. We're young professionals, we live and work in London, and it was the perfect breed for us because of the size of the dog, because of the requirements around exercise, because of how independent they are, and it just all came together and meant that that was the right breed for us.
My name's Christina and our little puppy's called Shogun. She's 8 months old and she's about 60% playful and 40% mischievous. We got a Pit-Pat as soon as we got Shogun and we started using it once she was big enough to wear a collar. We heard about Pit-Pat on social media, so we asked our vet about Pit-Pat, and it was highly advised because as a puppy she actually shouldn't move too much while she's developing her joints and her bones and growing, so we thought it was a great way to keep track of her activity and a really fun way to engage with our dog.
PitPat is an activity monitor for a dog. So the PitPat device sits on Shogun's collar. I've got the app on my phone, and then by pressing the button on the side of PitPat, I can see how much walking she's done, what different activities she's done, how well I'm doing against my target, how well we've done for the week or the month or a 30-day streak or a 60-day streak. And it just really means that we got a really good view into what she's doing when she's with me and what she's doing when she's with a dog sitter or someone else.
So when I first downloaded the app, I put in Shogun's details and then I was good to go. So I can just track her activity, and it's broken down by playing, walking, running, sleeping.
And that gave us a really good idea of how much exercise she should be getting. She was exercising a little bit too much when she was really young. Now it's closer to the recommendation, and we found that really happy medium of her getting enough exercise and also making sure that we're not too far away from our PitPat target.
If we've hit Shogun's goals for 3 days in a row, then we get a badge. And badges can be redeemed against rewards that we can exchange for money off our pet insurance, or free toys, or some dog food.
When you're living in London and working full time, and my partner works full time as well, it means that she's with a dog sitter quite a lot during the day, or we ask friends to look after her. And having the app means that we can see what she's been up to. So if she's been for a long walk during the day, it means that we will then do a short walk later on. It also means we can see how many calories she's burnt during the day, so when we're feeding her later on or when someone else is feeding her during the day, we can make sure she's getting the right amount of food.
Recently my partner and I went away on holiday, so we got my mum to look after Shogun. While we were abroad for 2 weeks, we could check in on the app, see how much playing and running and activities she's been doing. My mum's a really big walker, so I could see on some days she was actually taking Shogun out far too long and she was getting too much exercise, so I did have to put a little call in and ask her to just leave her at home sometimes because she shouldn't have been over-exercised at that time. I have a few friends who have the PitPat, and it's quite fun to have a bit of competition between us, and so I know which of my friends are the best playmates.
On my Apple Watch I love tracking how much activity I'm doing and working towards achievements. I've also got a couple of friends on there, Andy and Harry, and I get to see how much I'm beating them by on a daily basis. And often she does so much more than me. You think you take her for a walk and she's walked the same as me. No, she's run twice as long and played for 3 times as long, and it's just really great to see all that insight into her behaviour.
Shogun loves going walking. She loves playing with dogs a lot bigger than her. She's quite playful and likes to jump around. She's very agile, so it's good to have a playmate such as a Labrador so she can really go for it.
It's a really small device, it clips on, she just doesn't know it's there. It's also great we don't have to take it off and charge it, it can just stay there, so we basically forget about it.
Well, that's it from me and some of London's most successful game changers. Don't forget to get in touch if you know someone who's making it big in London. I'll see you next time.